What up, cucks? It's your boy, The Hater, and The Hater watched some highlights of TNA Sacrifice. You know, I honestly would have watched the show if I knew that it was on. That's one thing TNA needs to do, is kind of push forward that they exist, right? Because people, of course, people know they exist, but people forget, right? And people forget that they have pay-per-views as well, right? I would love to support TNA because I was a huge fan of TNA when they first started. I thought they were better than WWE at the time, and I still think that TNA at its highest, it's better than WWE at almost all its points, except for the Attitude Era, right? TNA put on some great matches and had some great wrestlers. And maybe, just maybe, they're moving towards that direction again. The reason why I say this, of course, is none other than Alexander Hammerstone. Now, you don't need to watch this guy wrestle to know that he's awesome, right? When he comes to the ring, he has a Brock Lesnar quality towards him. First of all, it helps that he looks like Brock Lesnar, but he has a Brock Lesnar quality towards him, right? Which means that he feels like a big deal, right? It's as simple as that. He feels like a big deal. There are some wrestlers that don't need anything aside from that. And some of these wrestlers are legends. One such wrestler is Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista had a look and he had a presence to him. Hammerstone has that same presence. Lesnar's another one. Chyna is another one from the women's department, right? These are people that just look different. They don't have to be the biggest or the tallest, right? Because there's people like, like Kane that obviously make everyone that I just talked about look small. And Kane also stands out, of course, but not because it's just of his size, right? The presence, the presentation is what makes the difference, cucks. Now, with all that being said, the question becomes, can Hammerstone bring TNA some glory? Notice that I said some glory. I'm not suggesting that Alexander Hammerstone is going to take TNA to WWE levels. But then again, if he can take them to a few 100,000 viewers again, which I think he can, it's already a huge win. I think Raw last week got like 1.6 million viewers. This is like TNA numbers when TNA was good. Like, not the highest numbers TNA's ever done, but TNA good numbers when TNA was good. So, the ability to catch up is not that far, right? For anybody, even for AEW. AEW has no chance. TNA has a small chance. Again, I will admit, it's a very small chance because of people like Hammerstone, right? You cannot underestimate the importance of charisma, but you can also never underestimate the importance of presence and having, I'm not going to call it the look, but having something there that makes the person intriguing. I'll give you two perfect examples that people that are big but don't have it. Moose. I like Moose. Don't get me wrong. Moose has many other qualities, right? He's good in the ring. He's big and strong. And on the mic, considering what I just said, he's not horrible, right? But Moose just doesn't feel like a star. It's really that simple. You can look at someone like Velveteen Dream, and you get the impression that this guy feels like a star. You look at Adam Cole, and you get the impression this guy looks like a jobber, right? That's the difference. Hammerstone feels like a star, right? Number one, he wrestled for MLW, which nobody watches, okay? So that's a huge positive in my opinion. TNA should throw all their money to this guy and book him as their next big thing. I would even go as far as to say that this is now the next big thing, Alexander Hammerstone. That's how I would do it. Why? Obviously, it's a callback to Brock Lesnar. And two, that's what every wrestling company needs, including WWE, right? Roman Reigns is another one of these Alexander Hammerstone, Batista's, Velveteen Dreams, right? They have a presence that makes them feel like a star, right? Dean Ambrose, for example, it's a great example, and Seth Rollins don't, right? They don't feel like stars. They have to force you to believe that they are stars, right? Why? Because they don't actually feel like that naturally. Hammerstone does, and that's where he has the biggest differentiator that matters. The one thing that is lacking from every company, I mean, arguably you can say WWE has Roman Reigns, but it just feels like Roman Reigns is like 1 foot out, right? So the one thing that none of these companies have is they don't have a true star in the making, right? You can try to tell me all you want that MJF has star qualities, but in my opinion, he doesn't. In my opinion, he's a nerd, right? Hammerstone looks the part, He even wrestles the part. And he's got a pretty cool finisher, the Nightmare Pendulum, which is essentially a vertical suplex flipped into like a rock bottom, right? It's kind of like, I think Matt Morgan had it. It's called the Elevator. I think that was the Elevator. I could be wrong. I think that was it. It's sick. It's just a sick move. And he does other sick moves, right? In this company, this is the guy that should be pushed. For better or worse, right? Who knows what the results are going to be, but this is the guy that should be pushed. Just like in WWE, the guy that should be pushed is not Cody Rhodes, but it's LA Knight, right? LA Knight has the presence, he has the look, he has the charisma. Cody Rhodes has none of those things. So, in my opinion, it speaks for itself. But anyways, I just wanted to make this video to hopefully encourage some of you to give TNA a shot. Just for nothing else, to see Alexander Hammerstone. Because, in my opinion, this guy is going to be the next big thing in wrestling. Like, him and Bron Breakker. Now, the only problem, obviously, with Alexander Hammerstone is that he's in TNA. Like, he should be eventually scooped up by WWE. But if he has, like, a dominant run in TNA and boosts their profile and then goes to WWE, then I don't even think it's deniable at that point. Like, the obvious logical match you do is Lesnar versus Hammerstone, and you have Hammerstone win. Immediately, you've just replaced Lesnar with a guy that's basically Lesnar 0.2. And with all that being said, will they do this? I don't know. I do think TNA is going to push him hard. But will WWE bring him in? I think so. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. WWE has a good eye for talent. Like, the people that they got from TNA are the people that I knew they would get from TNA. You know, Lexus King, Jade Cargill, the people that matter, the people that stand out. That's the fundamental, like, philosophy of WWE. You have to stand out. You can think of even someone like Snitsky, right? Yeah, we've seen a lot of monsters in WWE. But we hadn't really quite seen a Snitsky, right? This ugly, hideous person with like the yellowest teeth ever who doesn't care about hurting people and kicks babies. You know what I mean? Like, you can't get more over the top than that, but it was interesting, right? Big Daddy V. The list goes on and on. I don't have to explain all the unique characters that WWE has had. But they always hinge on that, right? They always hinge on that carnival-esque element of, you haven't seen anything like this, right? So here it is. And then the next segment, you've never seen anything like this. So here this is, right? That's the entire premise of like midget wrestling or little people wrestling, whatever the politically correct term is, right? Same thing with women wrestling. Same thing with women's MMA, right? The whole premise is you haven't seen this before. Well, now, of course, we've seen it. But you haven't seen a woman main event WrestleMania before, so here it is, right? Be in amazement. The problem is these promises have to also deliver, right? It's not sufficient. It's not sufficient, Cucks, to take something and pretend that it's great when it's not great, and then tell people, hey, you know this is great, right? And people are like, yeah, sure, whatever, bro. Like, I don't want to see Sasha Banks ever again. You know, why is she even on my TV? They're like, oh, it's great. Her and Naomi are tag team champion. And nobody cares, right? The point is, Hammerstone and the people that I've mentioned what I compared him to are people that people will care about. They're wrestlers that people will care about. Like, when you see Kyle O'Reilly, right? Nothing screams at you, this is a star. Automatically, you're like, oh, great. Another Bobby Fish, another Roderick Strong. It's the same fucking guy. There is nothing different between Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong. Nothing. Zero. They are the same character. You can take literally every Roderick Strong match and put Kyle O'Reilly, and none of it would be weird. You wouldn't be like, oh, that's strange. No, you'd be like, oh, that makes perfect sense, right? The uniqueness is an extremely important part of entertainment, right? That's why not all superheroes are Superman, right? They all have different gimmicks. They all have different powers. They all have different domains. Like, Aquaman is interesting to those that like him because he rules the sea, right? So then you can ask stupid questions like, who do you want to fight, Aquaman or Superman? Well, Aquaman might drown him, you know what I mean? Like, that kind of like childish shit, right? But in there is a truth. And the truth is, which larger-than-life and unique character would do better in this fake contest? But if everyone you've got is like Andre Chase and Hideo Itami and Ikemen Jiro and Kushida, and it's like there's absolutely no difference between any of them. Oh, Kushida thinks he's Marty McFly. Ikemen Jiro wears a jacket and talks about how he's handsome, right? And Hideo Itami is just a serious guy, right? Those are not fleshed out gimmicks, and none of those things can hide the fact that these are just three normal guys. Yeah, they're three normal guys from Japan, but they're still three normal guys, right? I'll even go as far as conceding that Nakamura, right? for all the hate that I give him because he's a 4-move jobber, typically a 3-move jobber, but sometimes he does 4 moves in a match, he is different, right? When he comes out, you're like, oh, this is different. Now, then the next thought you probably have is, this is different, but it's complete shit. But nevertheless, it's different. The first step is find something different. And Hammerstone is different. I mean, he's like Brock Lesnar, but Brock Lesnar is so unique that finding another Brock Lesnar is like, holy shit, we hit the gold mine, right? And with that being said, Cuts, check out TNA, check out Hammerstone. Cuckolds!